Hello and welcome to the Warhammer Meta Chasers. It is your weekly tournament rundown show. We run down the biggest and best events coming up over the course of the weekend. My name is Paul. I'm joined by Dustin Henshaw
Hello, everybody.
and Adam Camilleri.
G'day. Dustin, you're moving again. What happened?
I'm moving again. It was a long time being static, but I've healed up. My face has got animated again, and I am good to be animated with you guys now. It's been a long time.
Twisted wheels.
Twist some wheels. Yeah, I got to get the oil into the joints and everything. It's been a long time since I've been able to do this. So here we are. I'm here. But for those of you listening to us online, you don't notice anything.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Did Princess Leia break into some kind of lair and release you from carbonite?
I was in carbonite, actually. See, that makes perfect sense.
A little bit different format for the show today. We have, we're going to run down one of the biggest team events in the land. This is the Champions Cup. We're going to do, and then we're going to talk about several team events, like kind of all as one, talk about the factions that are going to be there. But before we jump into it, I want to talk about a World Championships of Warhammer qualifier happening in Saitama, Tokyo, Japan. 20 players, 5-round event. I love to see these metas and these pockets of Warhammer in the world start to bubble up, and it's only going to continue to grow.
Yeah, and we're going to keep highlighting them, shouting them out, giving them their time in the sun, because it's only a matter of, under 2 months now before we're all in Atlanta, rolling dice, seeing whose cuisine reigns supreme, all that good stuff.
Cannot wait for that for obvious reasons. One is going to be one of the best events in the land, crowning the World Championship country, the best players in the world for that year. Last year, the UK took it home. Is anyone going to step up and take it back from them? All these contingents coming from around the globe. Last year, there were 46 countries in attendance. I think it's looking over 60 this time. This is also going down at the same time as the Grand Narrative. So, 1,000 plus people playing Warhammer happening.
Easily.
Yeah. Going to be amazing. As we get closer to that, we'll of course try to highlight maybe some of who these winners are, the events that are going to be in contention for sending folks to this event to come and compete. It's going to be amazing. You'll be able to see some coverage from it as we get closer. We'll talk about that. But the coverage from this weekend with the Champions Cup, you'll be able to catch that as well on War Games Live. And Champions Cup in Dallas, Texas. This is one of those ones. My team's going to be there. I'm really going to miss them. I want to compete with them.
Yeah,
I can't be there, but it's one of those to where a lot of the events we talk about, I want to be there, but it's like even better when your buds are there playing and they're going to be there competing together for the same prize.
Well, so we've got team events. We've got team events for state competition, international competition, representing your country, representing your city, your town, whatever. This is like that for clubs. This is the club competition, as in like you bring your club, your team, and it's club versus club. And so this is something that in years gone by, in I suppose the early days of the ITC, this was actually something that was hotly contested notably between East and West Coast of the United States. At the time it was Beast Coast on the east, and it was Team Zero Comp on the west, in addition to a bunch of others. I remember just starting to follow the ITC back then and noticing these two big name clubs duking it out, sometimes crossing the middle of the country to contest each other at various events. And this is specifically for team competition. Yeah, I bet you could, mate. Yeah, Wrong Way Kids are right there too.
That was Wrong Way. Back in those days you're talking about, there was different clubs today. It's an evolving landscape, but always very cool. But you are right. This is where rivalries, and of course, this is a way to come settle it and to enjoy it in the spirit that is intended, which is let's just play some Warhammer and see what happens. But going to be over 400 players, 444 players in 56 teams at 8, playing over 6 rounds. What are we going to see there?
We will be seeing in the Imperial Super Faction there are 29 Sisters of Battle, 15 Custodes, 4 AdMech, 14 AdMech, 25 Astral Military, 27 Grey Knights, 17 Imperial Knights, Space Marines with 4 Astartes, 9 Dark Angels, 6 Space Wolves, 14 Blood Angels, and 11 Black Templar. Chaos, there's 24 Chaos Space Marines, 30 T-Suns, 12 Death Guard, 26 World Leaders, 15 Demons, 12 Chaos Knights. Xenos, there's 33 Necrons, 10 Orcs, 25 Tau, 17 Votan, Hive Mind, there's 20 Tyranids, 9 Genes that are called. That's right, 9 Genes that are called.
Yeah.
Back, baby.
Actually, that means none.
Yeah, none. Absolutely none. Eldari, there's 17 Drukhari and 20 Eldari, which means the faction podium is Adeptus Astartes technically topping it off at 44, which is pretty close to every team. What, 12 teams didn't take Space Marines at that
teams,
point? Yeah. Then Necrons behind them at 33, T-Suns behind them at 30, Adeptus Soror Trust behind them at 29, and then Grey Knights 27, and World Eaters right behind them at 26. What do you think of this faction breakdown for the podium here?
Well, the first thing that's very stark to me is it's all singles. There's no double ups at any podium position. It's all singles all the way down. Single podium positions per faction. We're never going to be surprised to see Adeptus Astartes number one. It's pretty much number one in any large team tournament world over. But so as we always say at the start of a team breakdown, there's a max of 56. Because they're going strictly by very, very similar to WTC rules, as in you can take one codex per team. So if you play Blood Angels, it uses the Space Marine codex. So that's your Space
that eats
Marine.
the Space Marines too, right?
Yeah. Exactly right. And should you take a Ynnari list, that'll eat both Eldari and Drukhari. And so you won't be able to take Ynnari and Drukhari as two different separate armies. They're going to be combined. In addition, Imperial Agents now being a very hotly contested thing. A lot of different Imperial factions want to attach, and Demons also, having. Are they good enough to be played as a solo army now? They absolutely are. But do they offer more and do they offer, a bigger spread or variety of matchup options to something like Thousand Sons, Death Guard, or, Chaos Space Marines? So it's a lot of these things to take up, because taking them as an ally will void them for the rest of your team. So a lot of things to weigh up, especially in 8 players. The numbers that really jump out to me is that's actually less Sisters of Battle than I would have assumed.
Mm-hmm.
So even though it's not far behind the top pole position, if you had told me they'd be, just over half. Yeah, just over half.
I'm surprised by that. I have to suspect that means because they're kind of like a difficult army to assemble and get together.
Correct.
It's like most people don't have the hot list on their shelf right now if they weren't already playing it.
Exactly right. Hands up if you have a Custodes army within reach. Well, the world just did a Mexican wave. The world just literally did a Mexican wave. Whereas hands up, you've got a Sisters army within reach. Like that's it. They're all playing them, and that's a perfect point there, Paul. The other ones that were really surprising to me. So Black Templars hotly on the heel of Blood Angels in the Space Marines breakdown. So we always like when we see a big team event to break down which Space Marines, top of the pile at the moment. And Blood Angels still number one as the most taken.
That's another Templars, thing. We think the Black Templars list are like 60 Crusaders, and most people are not don't have 60 Crusaders.
Correct.
And so you've got a sub-faction of the faction. So you've got Black Templar, which are already a sub-faction. So I know 2 or 3 Black Templar players, but I would only get there to borrow their 20 Crusaders from each of them if they aren't already playing them themselves.
Well, I'm attending one of the team events we're going to be covering in our 4-pack combined schmozzle that we got coming up for you. And I got a mate borrowing my 20 Primaris Crusaders.
There it is.
Because I got 20, he's got 20, he's scrambled together another 40 from the ether, and now he's got 80. But that's how that goes, because Lord knows I ain't paying 60 more. But it's surprised to see Dark Angels third on that. I would have expected them to be probably behind Blood Angels, but Templars are certainly rising to the fore there. The other one I really want to point out is Thousand Sons stating their claim once again, pretty much the world over now, as one of the best, if not possibly the best teams faction in the game. As in, it's one of the only factions where you take the singles list and it performs just as well in teams as it does in singles. It's pretty much the same dang list, whether you want to take 0 mutalisks, 3 mutalisks, doesn't matter. That same list will still do well, regardless of its event format. I think that needs to be highlighted, because they should be a little bit celebrated for that, and also lamented. Let's nerf them. Let's get them out of here. I've had enough.
And their best gun line is what I think I referenced that in the chat. By the way, we do this live. I don't know if I mentioned that. We do this live each and every Thursday. So if you're listening to After the Fact on the aggregators, come and hang out with our amazing chat group that keeps us honest. They also say they know a lot of people at this event. This is the event you're going to know a lot of people that we're talking about, because this is where teams from all over the country have come to compete, and it's going to be a big one.
So pointed out the best gun line is hotly contested right now. 25 Astra Militarum and also 25 Tau, 17 Votan. So Votan quite a little bit behind the other two in faction representation, but mean, those two being exactly the same number is kind of hilarious to me. What do you guys make of it?
It doesn't surprise me much at all. I think Tau are a really, really solid team faction. They always have been. Asher Militarum is one that I don't think you ever need to really pair them with something. They're almost one of those lists that you can always skew specifically for the matchup you need your team to be, because they have such a
You just need
codex.
the table.
You just need the table.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's the big thing, right? And Guard will perform, maybe not win, but they will perform in any single matchup, especially if they have table pick. Tau, same thing. If they have table pick, they will perform every time. And they have a game into any matchup if they have the table pick.
There's a bunch of extra stats I really wanted to pull out of this event. Like, I wish I had 26 hours in my day yesterday, because I wanted to go through and count how many Bulgren were in attendance at this event. Because of the 25 Asher Miller time, I would not be surprised if there is like 12, an average of 12 per list, or possibly more. But the other one I wanted to highlight is World Eaters. World Eaters rising as the aggressive army of choice. I suppose that goes in tandem with the Blood Angels. So the Blood Angels being the number one, aggressive Space Marine option. And yeah, World Eaters being the obvious aggressor of choice in the teams now also, which is quite nice. And I suppose that could be seen as, apart from possibly the Sororitas list we're going to unpack in the top team breakdown we're doing, Sis is a quite aggressive army also, or at least more of a pressure and positioning army, but they usually can get very aggressive also. But World Eaters just being that, 0 to 100 faster than anybody else is quite surprising. Dustin, I want to hit you with something.
Hit me.
When we get to the faction breakdown for our 4-pack crazy whatever it is, there is so many more Tyranids than there are here. Why?
In the 4-pack and then here, man, I wish I could tell you, because I feel like Tyranids are one of the best team factions you can bring right now.
I agree.
It's the same, but I think they fill the same role as some of the other factions we're talking about. Like, even they fill a similar role to like Asher Militarum, even Sisters to an extent, because they're a list that can.
You just put Tyranids in the same classification.
I absolutely did.
I
absolutely
look at
did.
this guy.
Absolutely did. But Tyranids are one of these factions like Asher Militarum, where they can actually gear their list to specific matchups that the team needs you to play against. Because Tyranids, believe it or not, is actually a deep codex with their detachments as well. They can skew really well. They can do Horde, they can do monsters, they can do MSU, they can do on-targeting, Trixie. Like, they have all those options. If whatever your team needs you to be good into, Tyranids are one of the factions you can say, okay, I will gear a list to play against that. So to me, I think they're really good. The problem with Tyranids is I feel like a lot of people kind of default to the singles list, like the invasion fleets and sometimes like Synaptic or Vanguard. But because they're leading to the singles list, they find it's just going to be like another one of these lists that will score, but not get the differentials we want. But I think Tyranids need to be utilized as a skew faction in teams for sure. That's my opinion. Anyway.
I could definitely see that, mate. I'm actually going to quickly pull up the faction breakdown for the WTC because I want to compare and contrast, because this is since the WTC, this is the next big 8-player team event that we're seeing in the world. And I will pull that up momentarily. But the other one I wanted to talk about is Grey Knights. Grey Knights is the other one that needs to go almost in the same breath as Thousand Suns.
Yep.
As in, this is a list that you can take your singles list, you can take it straight out of your singles, straight into teams, and it has a beautiful function, a beautiful form, and plays quite a savage, overwhelming game at times if paired well. Do you guys see the same?
Mm-hmm. I do. I think Grey Knights is another one that you can skew too, though, like a hard skew. But ironically, a lot of those skews are kind of the best singles list for Grey Knights as well. So
well, ironically, their list is just a skew inherently, right?
Yeah,
because
exactly.
It's just at a baseline, it's just a 2-up save. The army, and then it just depends how much toughness you strap on that 2-up save, whether it's Terminators. Yeah,
the struggle that I think Grey Knight players have at the moment is that their tricks are kind of widely known at this point.
Yeah,
where for about three months or so, they kind of caught people by surprise, and so now people are very well aware of how to avoid some of those tricks with the Grey Knights, i.e., not targeting them to shoot, not moving within a certain distance, those types of things, if you can manage.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So the WTC was 320 players, so an easy 120 players less in 40 teams of 8. And the faction podium there was Adeptus Astartes, 40, when we have Adeptus Astartes at what, 44?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then next one down was Thousand Suns at 32. This one has Thousand Suns at 30. Adeptus Sororitas 29, the same, exactly the same figure. And then Grey Knights 28. This one's 27, and then Necrons 26. This one has them at 33. So literally, apart from World Eaters,
remarkably
the same
close.
Five factions.
Yeah.
The same 5 factions on that podium. That's wild. I'm so happy I did that.
Yeah, I mean that's like almost a rounding error, just a difference.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah,
it's true.
And what's bizarre is, I mean, it's even more. It's a smaller pool. It's 120 players less, and a bunch of teams less. But also WTC is so savage, and so you have to play the best stuff. Whereas you have to assume 440 players. There's some people coming for fun. There's people just playing in garage games. Playing with their spearhead boxes they're strapped together. Whereas WTC, everyone's there as an absolute savage, and still the numbers are close. It's bonkers. I'm so happy I did that. That's crazy.
Speaking of the best factions you can, Adam, why are Dark Angels not as represented as Blood Angels and Black Templar now?
So, I have identified with Dark Angels in teams. They don't get anywhere near as consistent differentials as Templars and Blood Angels.
Really?
They will win probably more games. They have less reds, way less reds than the other two, but 20 people with that list is actually much harder than the Templars and the Blood Angels.
You're referring to like the heat map that players assign to matchups. It's like, these are my red, green, and yellow matchups. Yellow being I don't want to play them, but I can. Green or be like, I'm going to count on me for getting max points, boss.
Yeah.
And then red is like, we're going to lose this game. It's going to be tough.
And Dorian in chat, there are some absolute monsters coming to this event.
Yeah.
But what I mean is that the 320 players at WTC are the selected best players of their respective nations. And so you'd have to respect that. Whereas at this event, dude, there are like 6 freaking teams that could go to WTC from this event and do very well.
Well, they better
like minimum 6, probably closer to 10 teams here that could go and get a good placing at WTC. This thing is pretty dang stacked. Transitioning into that stackedness, Stat Check is in attendance, and they have brought a ridiculous team. So when I talked about stacked teams, this one is probably the most international team at the event, and also mind-bogglingly stacked. Like, this team could go get a podium at WTC, legitimately. It's Anthony Vanella, Francois, and Jeremy Atkinson from Canada. Both did very well for Team Canada this year. John freaking Lennon, who's playing his Dark Angels, who is currently undefeated, I think, across 3 events. One of those was WTC with his Dark Angels Gladius. You've got the best player in Belgium, Liam VSL, best player in Scotland, Ines Wilson, and then 2 of the best players in Poland in Typhus and Pumba, who's the Poland captain. And Typhus does did all the stats and pairings. So they've got the pairings nuance, literally like arguably 4 or 5 of the best players from their respective nations, and they have one of the best 8 packs I think you can construct in the current
Sounds
game.
real strong.
It does. These guys are the money favorites. I'm actually way more interested in like 2 through 5 at this event, because I think that is going to be so close between some of these other teams. First up, we have a World Eaters Berserker Warband. This is Anthony Vanella. He's got a Master of Executions, Khan the Betrayer, Angron, Lord Invocatus, 2x10 Jackals, a unit of 10 and a unit of 5 Berserkers, 3 regular 8-bound, a unit of 3 and a unit of 6 Exalted 8-bound, 2 Spawn, and 2 Rhinos. Unlike usually, where I am shorthanding this, but I have not left anything out. These are the total lists. They're just all done in shorthand. So apologies for that if you can't read it, but you get the gist. If you can't read it, open your codex. You'll figure it out. Next up, we have a Tyranids Invasion Fleet. This has been playing by, I believe, Francois playing this.
That's Francois' list, yep.
Dustin. Yeah, I didn't know him to be a Tyrannid player, so I'm really excited to see how he does with this.
He's a Tyrannid player, yep, for sure.
He's got an Invasion Fleet with a Hive Tyrant, a Neuro Tyrant, Old One Eye, 2x10 Hormigans, a single Biovore, 2 Carnifexes to go with them, 1 Old One Eye, 2 Exocrines, a Lictor and Neuro Lictor, a single Maleceptor, 2 Pyrovores, and 2 Tyrannifexes. So 4 big shooters. Yeah, 2 single Pyrovores. I think that's just a concession to points, just wanting 1 medium durability piece.
They run screens. They're on 50 mil bases. You put them in back. I mean, the reason I said 2 Pyrovores is people have been taking 1, just to kind of satisfy that. But 2, I think 2 is interesting because this is the first time I've really seen 2 in a competitive
Yeah.
list.
Are you thinking of
Yeah.
Biovore, Paul? Pyrovores are usually taken.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
I was.
Yeah, I thought so.
Rewind that. Maybe 2 Pyrovores is right where it's at.
Yeah,
Two
just
Pyrovores,
around,
I
just
think
fine,
it's
just fine.
pretty standard. You could take anywhere between 1 and 3. Usually 1 or 2 is the number. They're the ones that come in, strip cover, do actions.
Yeah. Little bit of an Overwatch threat as well, which is nice.
Yep.
Still on the 50mm base, so that
You are correct. Yes.
Next up, we have Inez Wilson's with his Gene Stealer Colt. He's got an Outlander Claw, triple Colormorph and Saboteur, so already packing 4 lone ops there, which is kind of disgusting. A single unit of 5 Acolytes with auto pistols, 6 units of 5 Acolytes with Flamers, 2x10 Neophytes, 2 Goliath trucks, 1 2 Ridge Runners, so unit of 1, 2 units of 2, 2x5 Adeline Jackals, so very light on the Jackals, and then 3 Goliath Rock Grinders to tote around all the Flamer Acolytes. I might get you to unpack that one for us in a moment, mate, once I get through the rest of the pack. We have a Leagues of Votan list wielded by Jeremy Atkinson, 2 Ironheart Champs, 2x10 Warriors, 4 Sagittars, 3x5 Berserkers, 5 Hearthguard, a single Land Fortress, and then 366 Pioneer Bikes and 10 Jaegers. Freaking love the big units of bikes in the meta at the moment, especially with a bit of pairings help. John is taking his WTC Dark Angels Gladius. You all know this. You all love this. It's kind of famous at the moment. Azrael, Apothecary Biologus, who has 5 Discipline, of course. Judicia, 5 Assault Intercessors, 2x5 Jump Back Intercessors, 15 Deathwing Knights, the maximum 3x5, 6 Eradicators, 5 Infiltrators, 6 Inner Circle Companions, a Repulsor, a Colored Assassin, and 5 Voidsmen at Arms. Very good list. Mine's better. Thousand Suns, Cult of Magic, Ahriman, Exalted Sorcerer, 3 Infernal Masters, Magnus, a regular Sorcerer, 6x5 Rubrics. So full Rubric hate. 2 Rhinos, 10 Cultists, and 3 Zangor Enlightened. That is Liam VSL for those curious. Next up, I believe we have Pumba with the Chaos Space Marines. He called it the French Special Renegade Raiders list because it's pretty close to what they took. 3 Dark Communes, who naturally will have 3x16 Accursed Cultists attached to them. We have Cypher and a Master of Executions, 2x10 Cultists, 4x5 Legionaries, and then the Accursed Cultists, 3 Predator Destructors, 2 Rhinos, and 3 Nurglings. I freaking love and loathe that list. And then lastly, we have a Bringers of Flame Adeptus Sororitas list wielded by Typhus from Poland, 2 Dialogus and the Triumph. So that's no Morven Val, no Celestine, and you'll see why. 2 Immolators, 3 Castigators, 2 units of 10 Dominions, triple Exorcist, and then a unit of 5 and a unit of 10 Seraphim. So,
talk about a skew, though. Like, okay,
yeah.
well, can you deal with all this
Yep.
firepower? What table are we on?
There are some pretty interesting skews in here. I think you can't not call the GSC list a skew, but it's really funny how the GSC list and the Votan list almost look the same, where they're just packing like battle tanks and transports and shenanigans.
Well, ironically, they are actually like really well paired together.
They are exactly right. They are very well paired together. The Dark Angels is just a savage, can go into anything.
Do you mean like put out together? Like, here, choose from these 2.
Yeah, like any kind of list
Is that
that'll
what you
struggle
mean?
against an MSU style with a lot of scouting will struggle against either of those lists, and it's a perfect, here, deal with one of these. And both of those lists are designed to just get points.
You think of somebody having an Orc list as a put-up or a World Eaters list as a put-up, a list that doesn't deal with transports, and you're just like, dunk, dunk, and you're cooked. Like, you're absolutely cooked. You can't win either of those games. Well, you're unlikely to win either of those games. Yeah, I really like this APAC. This APAC is almost as good as it gets, I think, considering the specialists that they have, the fact that they have one of the best World Eaters players in the world, one of the best Gene Stealer Cult players in the world, one of the best Dark Angels players in the world, one of the best Thousand Sun players in the world. The list could go on. I'm interested in the Thousand Suns list, playing way more rubrics than we've usually seen without any Vortex Beasts. And that makes me think it's going to be used as a little bit more of a defender rather than anything else. As in, it might be a put up, take a heavy table, play shenanigans, blow people up with rubrics on, turn 3, turn 4, turn 5.
Yeah.
Because there's some really good frontline power here. The Chaos Space Marines can play into absolutely anything. The Dark Angels can play into absolutely anything. The Tyranids can play into absolutely anything. So there's 3 lists there that you can just be like, we don't really care what you put up, or we're just going to chuck these guys into it no matter what. And chances are you won't get an amazing result on either of them, even if you do get a win.
Yeah, no, it's true. They have a lot of like single style lists that'll just do well against anything, like you said. So it doesn't even matter about where they put them down. So it gives them a lot more freedom to pick the matchups for those lists they really want to have a matchups to get those skews, get those 20s, and then everybody else is like, we'll just score what we need to score to win the matchup. Dorian, the Tyrannifex are the rupture cannons because that's generally the standard that people are taking right now is the rupture cannons. So the anti-tank ones.
What do you make of that G-Steel cult list, Dusty?
The Outlander Claw one that is ridiculously strong and tricksy, and I love it. It's a great list. It deals way more damage than people expect, and it forces you to actually if it goes first, you just scout those bikes onto objectives. You obsec them, or sorry, sticky them. Obsec. I still say obsec. I'm sorry, guys. You sticky them. And then you move off of them. So now your opponent has to commit things to an objective so you don't score it, and you committed nothing. And then whatever goes on there dies. And it will continue to out-trade you the entire game because it'll have the reroll wounds flamers, even the rock grinders will do some damage on them with the tank shock. There's grenades everywhere. Like it does a lot of chip damage, but it does a lot of chip damage.
Yeah. Paul, what are you not seeing here? Is there anything you think could have been included in this that possibly they didn't take?
Do you mean in that list specifically, or do you mean like?
The 8-pack.
Yeah. See, obviously, I'm going to say Blood Angels. It's one of those lists to where it's still using the old rules, so consistently performing really, really well out there still. I think the not using things like more involved, that is the consistency of your list. And so what I think is interesting is that those aren't like modeling or hobby choices that left those things out. These are just takes on what they think are going to be what will help them overcome anything that they face in the various matchups they'll have over the course of the weekend.
I've gone on podcasts and said that I'm not a huge fan of the Triple Exorcist. I think they're a 1 of or a 0 of, depending on your meta. So I am super excited to see like a super top tier player take it and possibly show me otherwise.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but that list is basically that's the Tau list of sisters. Like
it's a tower or guard list depending on how you want to
guard list. Yeah.
Yeah. It's Manticores and
I see fire prisms. That's what I see.
Yeah.
There.
Another good analogy.
Yep.
Yeah, like fire prisms and 9 spinners.
Oh man,
it's very very similar.
It's a good line. It's a good line.
Yeah, they have not taken Necrons and they've not taken Grey Knights from our faction podium. They have the Astartes, they have the Thousand Suns, the Sisters, and the World Eaters.
Well, they have players that are experts in every single one of the factions they've taken, right? So
yeah.
Why differ from that, right?
Exactly right. But these guys are the money favorites. I would love to see the world get shook up and these guys go down. So everybody draw those targets on their backs.
Yeah, they've got a target on their back for sure. If somebody takes them down, that'll be exciting. That'll be really exciting.
Oh, you will make a name.
You will make a name.
If you beat that list, you will make a name.
I'm about to make a name for myself. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Insert Gambit meme there. There you go.
So the other team we didn't do a full breakdown for, but I definitely wanted to highlight some of the other strong teams in contention. Right now in the ITC rankings, Xenos Petting Zoo is the #1 club in the United States, the #1 team. They brought 5 freaking teams. I couldn't decide which one I was going to break down, so I didn't do any of them.
They're off the West Coast and always have great representation at tournaments. So, you know, I'm not surprised they have that many players and that many teams there coming to represent. It always seemed to be like a good time crew.
They are a legendary club and they've brought like 50 players to this event. So like they are a not unsubstantial percentile of the player base. But let's hit a transition on that one and head over to Tundra Tactics, who is ranked #2 in the ITC. And here's a little love letter. Sorry, Xenos Petting Zoo, couldn't decide which of your team. Your 5 teams to cover, and this is obviously your fault.
How dare you bring so many people?
How dare you make my life hard? But anyway, Tundra Tactics ranked #2 in the ITC made my life very easy. Do you know what's really surprising here? What's really surprising is to see how many index detachments were taken by them. So we've got a Tau Empire of Kauyon, Grey Knight, Teleport Strike Force, Drakari Sky Splinter, Tyranids Invasion Fleet, Black Templars of Righteous Crusaders, so, the Black Tide, Necron's Hypercrypt, Eldari Battle Host, and Astra Militarm Combined Regiment. There are actually very few codexes in use in this 8-pack. Essentially, the Necrons Codex is the only codex 100% in use. Apart from that, everyone might as well be playing pre-codex.
Wow.
Oh, Drakari kind of got it.
It's not a codex. You're still right.
Yeah. But yeah, this is another really good 8-pack. They've got all the big hitters. They've got the Grey Knights, they've got the Tyranids, they've got the Templars, they've got the Necrons, they've got the so the Eldari is an interesting one to discuss. So I know that's Matt Shuckman. He's an extremely good Eldari specialist, but Eldari have not been performing at the higher levels of the team competition.
I feel like they're kind of replacing the sisters in this with this 8-pack.
Yes, exactly right. They are because that's the big one they're missing. They're missing the sisters. There is no sisters player here. Whereas the Eldari, they can play a very good and of course very good scoring game, but it's a scoring game that is a stable target. Everyone knows what Eldari is going to do turn by turn. And the thing is, you can just kind of push it all in on them, and they will kind of struggle to dig you out a lot of the time, especially some of the horde lists that are going around right now. I mean, everyone's dropped their unit of 10 Shadow Spectres, which used to be the horde, see you later alligator horde clearer, because their points went up astronomically. And so they just don't have an option. If like one unit of 10 or 20 Primaris Crusaders might just beat the whole Eldari army.
Oh yeah, that's
why you see avatars. Avatars all over the place.
That's true. Avatars.
That is a great shout, Paul, because I believe, and I do know Matt Shuckman has been experimenting with the Avatar, and I think the Avatar is a big, like, oh, you've got a big horde thing that I can't crack. Avatar it. Just push the Avatar in.
Stay over there.
So, yeah. If I can't solve it, he won't die at least. So I've got some fate dice to make sure he makes it through this turn.
And we haven't seen a lot of avatars in the Eldari list, and also like double avatars. Like we've seen the Incarn and avatars in some lists.
Well, what I like about Eldari being taken in this one is the fact that they have Drakari. So I actually think they make better. It's better to have both than just have Eldari, if that makes sense.
Hot take.
If I was going to pick one or the other, I'd be picking Drakari right now. Their numbers,
I would too.
Their stats are astronomical.
But only because like scourges. In my opinion.
Correct.
I don't think it's like the scourges are they're a threat. I feel like it's the transport play. Because we're talking about how some armies have trouble dealing with things in transports, right? The Drakari, the Skyplanet Assault, they are always in their transports, even right after they kill you.
Yeah, but their transports are Vipers. So
sure, but if you only have close combat, right?
Well, okay.
Well, I get you.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be dismissive. I completely agree with you because it's an extra layer of things.
Yes,
like you have to spend extra time and effort to get through that. You will get through it, but it takes you the same round that you could have gotten through the Rhino or the Land Raider or whatever. You burned an opportunity activation, which could be the whole game for you.
It's true. For those kind of reasons, it's for me, Drakari pair better with like either the GSC list or Votann kind of thing, because I feel like they kind of go into that realm of the transport play, like transport armies, because they can push hard with those transports and not worry about their good stuff getting cracked early on, so they can still get value out of it while getting value out of the transport at the same time. The Eldari, I have trouble pairing them with stuff right now, aside from maybe T-Suns, which they are also missing, by the way. So
they are correct.
Yeah, I don't know where it pairs there. But again, if it's a good singles list, it doesn't need to pair. It's just a defender and get points. That's what you do.
So yeah, that's my issue with Eldari. Eldari right now have like yellows for days,
which is not a bad thing. Not a bad thing.
They're not going to get a big win or a big loss, and that's a good thing to have. Yeah. But in 8-pack, sometimes you need a little bit more, and they can be found a little bit lacking. I love so there's a lot of dualities going on. There's a lot of double ups in ideology and archetype in here. You got the Grey Knights and the Hypercrypt, so uppy downy for days, jumping around, doing all that nonsense. Like I said, you have the Eldari and the Drakari. That Astra Militarum list, if I remember correctly, is maximum Bulgrin, so it's thick guard, and that tandems actually quite well with the Black Templars.
I was going to say it pairs with Tau, but if they're going that way, then it definitely pairs with the Black Templar better.
Yep, and then you just have like a clean, like it's Andrew Gagnon on the Kauyon who just played at WTC and did very well. But you just have a clean Savage gun line, put him up, take the light table Tau list to go along with it, and then Eric Forsman played the Tyranids for WTC, who's playing the Tyranids here, is another one. He can just play into anything. He's just that good. And then you have all these double ups. Everything else is a double up. Like everything else can be used aggressively, defensively, pinning, all these other things. So I really like the construction here. And it makes a lot of sense when you think about what they took out and what they would be missing from all those dualities. Should they chuck in just ham fist, chuck in a T-Sons because it's good, ham fist, chuck in a Sisters because it's good, rather than, making sure your 8-pack is cohesive. Time to pick us some winners.
Yeah, so in team tournaments, what we do, we pick the faction we think is going to score the most battle points. We make predictions for every event that we cover, and then in part 2, which is only for Patreon subscribers, tier 2 and above, we actually, we talk about how we did. We talk about the winners of the weekend before and score ourselves points, and of course, kind of give ourselves a little bit of light jabbing along the way.
So. All right, I'm going to roll a dice. 1, 2's Paul, 3, 4's me, 5, 6 is Dustin, and then we'll get to pick first. Paul, pick first.
World Eaters.
Never rolling a 5+. Story of my life right now, boys.
All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3 is Dustin. Dustin, you're up next.
Oh, just rubbing it in at that point. Sorry, what'd you take, Paul?
Funny.
World Eaters?
World Eaters.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I'm going to take T-Sons.
You're not going to back the GSC?
I want to, but it's just
Betrayer.
They're not a differential list. They can get it, but they're not meant to do it. So,
well, shame on you.
Hey, I'm not saying they're going to lose. They're going to win all the games.
Because I'm doing it. There's 9 there.
All right.
There's only 9.
I respect it.
Let's do it.
I respect it.
I'm the savage here, and if I get an extra point, I take one of your points off you.
Take one of my points off me if you get it.
We might build this in. If I pick your faction because you had the chance to pick him and you didn't, and I score more points than you, you lose a point.
Okay.
There we go. That's actually not a bad rule. Not a bad rule at all.
Yeah.
For the next part, we've combined several events kind of into one just to talk about their faction rundown. And this will be the Alliance Open from the Netherlands, the Grand Fanatic from Sweden, Victorian Team Championships in Australia, and then the Tercer GT from Spain.
So team events take a lot more work than singles events to cover.
Yeah.
And you should all it should be plain to see by how long it just took us to break down a single large team event. We've just done 40 minutes on it, on just the Champions Cup. So I didn't want to miss any of these events. I didn't want to exclude any of these events. So in lieu of it, I just mashed them together into a big ball. So this is the entire faction breakdown from all 424 players, which are in a total of 88 teams, but those teams are of different sizes. So you do need to take that into account when you're reading this, because and I don't believe any single faction made it close to the 50% mark, apart from Adeptus Astartes, because they're BS.
Oh, and Nurgle Matt just said a 3-man tournament in Michigan.
Oh, dang.
Oh, jeez.
Hey, I did an American event.
That's true. We covered it. We did it. We did it.
Don't get in my DMs.
Oh. No hate mail.
But yeah, what's going on this week? Why is this Teams week?
I don't know, but I love it. Let's do more of
I
this.
love it too.
As long as they're in different places, because I can't go to all of them at the same time. That's the big thing, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But for the actual faction breakdown for these ones, I'm curious to see where all of this is chopping up.
424.
Whereas everywhere. So we are looking at the Imperial Super faction. There are 21 Sisters of Battle, 16 Custodes, 10 Admech, 23 Astra Militarum, 15 Grey Knights, and 27 Imperial Knights. Space Marines are 16 Adeptus Astartes, 13 Dark Angels, 9 Space Wolves, 8 Blood Angels, and 12 Black Templar. Chaos, there's 24 Chaos Space Marines, 29 T-Sons, 15 Death Guard, 12 World Eaters, 19 Demons, and 16 Chaos Knights. Xenos, there's 29 Necrons, 19 Orcs, 23 Tau, and 12 Votan. Hive Mind, there's 37 Tyranids and 3 Gene Stealer Cults. And then Altari, there's 5 Drukhari and 11 Altari, meaning the faction podium for these 4 events combined is Adeptus Astartes, topping it off, no real surprise in team events with 58. Tyranids, though, in second with 37, and then it's quite a jump to Necrons and T-Sons at 29, Imperial Knights making an appearance at 27, Chaos Space Marines at 24, and then Tau and Astra Militarum at 23. Huh.
Yeah, this is wild. And of course, take this all with a grain of salt. This is combining like essentially we did the team breakdown for the United States, and then we just did a team breakdown combined of the rest of the freaking world. And one of those places is Australia, where our meta is absolutely bonkers compared to everyone else. Spain has a very unique flavor. Netherlands have a very unique flavor, and of course, where was the other event? Sorry.
Netherlands, Sweden, Australia,
Netherlands,
Spain.
Sweden. Yeah. Scandinavia's got a very unique flavor. But dude, freaking Tyranids, number one.
Booyah.
Why? How? Huh?
Well, I guess they didn't go to the Champions Cup. They're everywhere else instead. Like I said, I think Tyranids are an amazing team faction.
Yeah.
Like amazing.
I think you can make a mistake with, I say mistake lightly with the build.
Yes, you can for sure.
I cannot hear Paul.
You can't.
Oh.
I can hear him. Can everybody else hear Paul?
We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see if Adam can hear eventually.
That's fine. Me and him have communicated enough. We can read each other. We can read each other's signals. That's
You're
it.
good. You're good
Yeah,
to go.
I can feel you, Paul. Send the pigeons.
This Fuego is going to be very interesting.
But apart from Tyranids and Imperial Knights, the faction podium here looks quite similar. We have Necrons and Thousand Suns. We have Chaos Space Marines popping up as well. We have Astra Militarum and Tau. So at least 3, in addition to counting Adeptus Astartes, are the same. Imperial Knights, boys. What do we make of that?
I am not too surprised. I do feel like Imperial Knights have
Canis is real.
Canis is real, yes. Canis
is real.
Yeah. And yeah, everybody else can hear him, Adam, so it's just you, buddy.
That's wild.
It's just you. Technology
fair,
is
mate.
wonderful.
Fair. But Paul can hear me.
Sounds like it. So
okay.
So,
No idea what's going on there. Imperial Knights came out of WTC looking pretty good and have had a couple of really good weeks of singles results. Like they won 2 large events in the Southern Hemisphere last week. And yeah, man, I think they are extremely good teams list.
Well, actually, P3Z put in something really important too, that the Imperial Agents gives them kind of the kick in the butt they wanted, right?
Literally was about to say Imperial Agents kind of just levels up the whole faction again.
Sure.
And they were already doing much better than previously.
Sorry, Pez. I just realized the 3 is elite speak. Pez, right? Not P3C.
Look,
I'm old. All right, I don't know this elite speak thing. I got it. I got there.
So you like Eversor Assassins and like adding Grey Knight Terminators.
Oh, you can hear them now.
Imperial Knights.
Again. Navigators. Navigators are a huge one. So 75 points for a Navigator to just have a single character that blocks out 12-inch deep strike.
Yeah.
Because one of the biggest issues is like you're playing mono Imperial Knights. How do you stop the Silent King and a Monolith just taking your home field and causing like Canis and 2 other knights to have to turn around to maybe solve the problem? And if they don't, you probably lose. You could have already lost. Like it could just be denying you, 5 points a turn regardless. And so things like the Navigators, things like the Assassins are absolutely massive. Yeah. I love the shout for the Eversor. I think is huge. Yeah, because I think an Eversor just putting in a small piece that goes through a wall without the risk of a battle shock. Like the only other things that go through walls are the big knights, and you don't want to always send a big knight to kill 5 freaking scouts. So you need something else that will go do that job for a fraction of the points. And I think the Eversor is another great inclusion.
Yep. I love it. I think it gave them a shot in the arm they needed, and they're going to obviously making a show of it now. They were already performing well. Now they're getting some tools that they were missing. They're just going to get better.
Yep. Once again, low Sisters numbers. So Sisters with 21 compared to, almost doubled by Tyranids.
Is it just hobby? Because Sisters are not...
It can't be.
It's a skill army. It really is. I think
skill army,
an army that takes a little bit of finesse. I shouldn't say skill. It takes a little bit of finesse. And I mean, you are dealing with a toughness 3 army. You need in miracle dice, and so there is some variance there.
Yeah.
You get to smooth out the variance, but there's a lot of things to configure and to play around. So I could see it.
That's fair. That's fair.
Not being the style for everyone.
For sure. No, I get that.
Yeah. Pretty low on the Grey Knights, which is very surprising, seeing as in years gone by where we've been doing this show, especially Sweden has been like a Grey Knight absolute cesspool of just absolutely savage Grey Knight players. So it might be a little bit of a change in the wind in that meta. The other one that's really interesting is very, very low Eldari numbers. Only 5 Drukhari out of 400 plus players, only 5, and only 11 Eldari out of 400 plus players.
Yeah.
Like that's... Yeah, 11 teams out of 88 took Drukhari. 5 out of 88 took Drukhari.
That's crazy.
Yeah, really, really low numbers there.
Crazy.
The other one's probably so the one that's a real big aberration is there's like in America there's 26 world eaters. Here in like the rest of the freaking world, only 12. Any reasons why we think that'll be? They're playing on the same terrain. Actually, no, I won't say that because I don't know for sure that all these events are playing on. I know Sweden play a WTC adjacent format a lot of the time, where they're not quite as dense, but they still have a lot of the largest pieces. I've got no idea what the rest are doing. I know in my event in Victoria that I'm playing that we will have close to in between WTC and GW style terrain.
I think I can pretty safely say that the meta in North America is very world leader centric. There's a lot of world leader players in North America. Around Europe, and I don't know about Australia. I didn't think there were that many, but I think it's a little. There's only like specialist world leaders there. In North America, I see world leaders every corner I turn.
Paul, why are your people so bloodthirsty?
Yeah.
That's not true.
I know. It's absolutely not true. It's absolutely not true. That's entirely in jest.
I do think that World Eaters, though, requires a certain style of play. And you can have fun doing it, but the most successful people with World Eaters are the folks that completely maximize every interaction.
Yeah.
Correct.
You have to, right? Because it's an army that usually lacks shooting. Like I've seen some kind of involved Forge Fiends now and then, but that's
a little bit
few and far between. But that's not going to make that. You still need to make every single. If you are going to shoot something, you need it to matter. Like you need to pop that transport so you can get the juicy innards. Right. That's the kind of thing you need.
And the truth is, not everyone wants to play that way. Does play that way. It's just a different style of play when you're having to micrometer measure your movement and care about every wall edge and stuff like that. It's a slightly different game.
Like getting shot when you thought you were safe is no bigger a tragedy than for World Eaters players.
It's terrible
because there's no response. There's nothing you can do
unless your reserves don't die.
Yeah, the only interaction you have is to -1 damage for 2 CP, which is a bit of a rough take sometimes, or blood surge into them. And if they're competent, you won't be blood surging, at least off a first interaction. But 100% agree, Paul. Like I think so. There are some armies, and we all know these armies where there is a very thematic way to play said army, which many people enjoy, and they absolutely should. But then there's a very confident way to play said army, which yields another level of results. I can think of Orcs, a lot of Space Wolves, and World Eaters are the three off the top of my head.
Your mind really just reconfigures itself to play this army this certain way, and that is not how everyone enjoys the game. They're doing that thing in a different way altogether, but it's
here's my hot take. Here's my Adam ring-a-ding one-liner. The best World Eaters players win the game without having to roll a single charge.
Yeah.
Straight up. That's the difference.
Yeah,
that's the difference.
That's
you win without having to hit anybody.
That's true.
That style of thinking that I'm talking about takes some of that randomness out of the game. You limit the impact of the dice for that phase of the game.
You use the threat of your charges rather than actually charging a lot of the time.
Yeah, your sphere of influence.
Yeah, your sphere of influence.
And there's a huge amount of other armies that can do the same. Drukhari do something different, similar now also, because they're in a boat behind a wall.
Yep.
And that's a level, several levels of issue you have to solve to crack that nut. And it's 100%. It's becoming quite prevalent in the game. Sisters is very similar also. Thankfully, it's no longer a Repentia in a Rhino behind a wall, but it's still Dominions with that can move infinity inches with a Miracle Dice with Assault, and Melter range Miracle Dice blow you up. So it's not too dissimilar.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know if we can pick winners from these.
I don't.
So you know what we're doing?
So.
You know what we're doing?
What are we doing?
I've already decided.
Okay.
Everyone gets 2 picks.
Oh.
Everyone gets 2. And if any of them rock up, you get your points.
All right.
I think it's the only way to do it fairly. And that's how we're going to do it. Because none of apart from me, actually, I don't even know. I didn't pay attention enough. I don't know what the top factions are in the Australian one or the Sweden one. All I know is what the top factions are overall. So we're going to do this in reverse order, which means me first. And Ooh. I shouldn't have said me first. Curse Space Marines. Let's do it. Then it would be Dustin, who was in the middle last time, be in the middle again.
Tyranids. I love being the meat in the sandwich.
He loves it. And
Thousand Suns.
T's Sons. All right. Should any of those factions first up make it? So here's your first pick, where you'll get maximum points, and maybe the second pick will get one less point. The second pick. Nah, let's just pay out. Let's just pay out.
Pay out. Let's go.
And now we're going in the opposite order. So we'll do Dustin first, then Paul, then myself.
Oh, well, now it's complicated again. Let's go Necrons.
Yeah, not a bad call. Paul?
I think that's where I was going to go Necrons if you didn't pick it. I will take Astra Militarum.
That's a good pick.
Dang, that's where I was going. All right, so I just gotta back my boys. And do I pick Templars or do I pick Dark Angels? They're both my bays. There's 13 Dark Angels, 12 Templars. That means I'm picking Dark Angels. All right, that is that.
This is the part in the show where we, just chill out. We just take a break from all the crunchiness of the numbers and the who, when, and what, and everything else. I'm going to remind you, though, that we do have a Patreon. The show is a lot of work to put together, so please consider supporting us on Patreon if you have not already. That is just one way to support the show that we really appreciate. Other ways, hassle-free ways of giving us the thumbs up, hitting the likes, doing the comments, hanging out in the chat, all the stuff that you can normally do to kind of let that algorithm know that other people should come and do it as well. Please do that. No matter where you listen to us, leave us whatever maximum love that you can, like a 5-star review is what I'm talking about, or that subscribe. If you made it this far, you like the show.
Yeah.
Or you tolerate the show enough to where you should subscribe and be reminded that we
tolerate the show enough.
Or you just joined the YouTube stream because you noticed it was live right now.
Yeah, well, whatever it takes, hit that button.
You're here, hit it.
But this part in the show that we're about to get to, we call the Fuego Rapido. This is a series of topics we give ourselves, and then a clock for each one, 2 minutes per topic. Once the clock goes to 0, we abandon the topic, never to return to it again, unless the Patreon subscribers say so.
Of course.
And where we kind of rattle off some ridiculous hot takes or silliness. Sometimes these have something to do with 40K, sometimes they don't.
This one is going to be quotes.
But one's theme is quotes. Oh no,
Quotes.
I'm terrible at quotes.
Well, it's not naming quotes. It's, well, you'll see. All right. First up, your favorite quote from any movie. Oh, Paul gave up.
Yeah, Paul's already bailed. He's already had enough. It's gonna. I think my favorite might be from V for Vendetta.
Oh, actually,
Governments should be afraid of their people, not people afraid of their governments.
Okay, that was a lot more in depth of the quote than I see. I was actually going to say the line from V for Vendetta where you don't have guns, you have bullets, and when you're out of bullets, the hope that I'm not dead, or that I'm dead. Otherwise, I will kill each and every one of you. Like that. I loved that quote. That quote was so cool.
Can I say
we have the shout out for I'm here to kick ass and chew bubblegum.
Of course,
it's another great one.
Well, in line with that, basically the entire Big Trouble in Little China.
I can't hear Paul again. What is going on?
Paul. Now I can't hear Paul either, so.
I don't know. Yeah, Thanos, I don't even know who you are. That's another shout.
That's a good one. That's a good one, yeah.
That's a very good one. I mean, all of these are pretty much memes anyway. Like, they've been just memed over time.
It's true. A lot of them would be. That's why.
I am a big fan of the Han Solo when someone says, I love you, and you say, I know. I'm not saying it back. Just like, it's such a flex.
You can hear Paul?
Jack can hear me. Look.
Really?
Well, tell him I'm being hilarious.
Jack can still hear you, Paul, so as long as your mouth is moving, we won't talk then. You go ahead.
You got 30 seconds.
You got 30 seconds. As long as your mouth's moving, we won't talk.
For the people.
For the people. Go ahead.
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes? Let's see. And but I did say the entirety of Big Trouble in Little China. That movie's very ultimately quotable. And then I don't know what we missed before we got there. Star Wars. Anything from Star Wars is good.
Okay.
Check confirms Paul did nothing wrong.
Okay, perfect. You are not in the studio, but you're in OBS. What the heck did you do, Paul? What kind of sorcery is this? How did you do that?
I'm a stream
It's just
phantom.
special. He's the Sanguinor, ethereal.
How did you do that? Okay.
Fights first.
Anyway,
Disappears.
next up, your favorite quote from any TV show.
I am a plethora of Simpsons quotes.
I was going to Simpsons as well.
Deep and wide. I need to try and pick one is the issue.
Came out and back in.
Oh,
again.
there you are. Paul's back. I can hear you again. Okay, good.
Perfect. What was your favorite quote?
My favorite quote from The Simpsons? I have misplaced my pants.
No,
that's a good one.
I love that.
I am your father.
Yeah,
oh, okay.
fair.
Classic.
I didn't say that during the Fuego, but that is it.
You didn't?
Nice.
Well, now I have to go back and listen to what you actually said. Favorite quote
Boo Earns.
Boo Earns. I was saying Boo Earns.
Boo Earns. No, the world needs laughter. When Spock saves Krusty
just
from
going through
Krusty
all,
once.
I
do also say
say
Krusty
any
once
quote.
out.
You can say any quote from Simpsons, and I will know exactly what scene, what episode it's
Seriously,
from.
I will be on a plane. I've said this to a stewardess in the haze of jet lag, and been like, Adam wants out to a stewardess like 17 hours into a 19-hour flight or whatever the crap it is.
That's fair. Paul, what about you?
I'm not. See, now I'm remembering all the movie quotes. I'm not remembering TV show quotes.
You're 2 minutes behind, Paul.
I know, right? Quijibo.
Quijibo.
Yep.
We're just going Simpsons.
Quijibo. I got some Ren and Stimpy ones.
Okay.
There's a fantastic one called Space Madness that they did, where Ren goes crazy from Space Madness, and he says, "And little do they know, it's not I who am crazy; it's I who am mad." And I just think it's hilarious. Or he has a bar of soap that he thinks is an ice cream bar, and he keeps taking a bite out of it. And when Simpy tries to take it away, he's like, "No, you're trying to steal my ice cream bar. It's delicious," and takes his bite out of this bar of soap. Anyway.
Watched a documentary on Nickelodeon recently. It was fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How they got away with making Ren and Stimpy.
It's true, right?
For children.
Yeah.
I love that they did that.
The animators literally got handed the keys to like the studio, and no one was paying attention after.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Next up.
Yeah. It's good.
If you were known for a quote, what would you want it to be?
Ooh.
Today's the day you almost beat
Paul Murphy.
TPM. No, that's not it.
Oh, sorry. That's not it. Sorry.
Do I have a personal quote?
What would I want it to be? I don't.
Rock-a-rolla 6 machine.
Whoa. Whoa.
Why not? Aim high. Man, I've got so many stupid one-liners that I reel off and never forget, never remember on streams and podcasts.
I know, right?
Yeah.
That is actually it.
Blank?
Talk so much and remember so little.
So little. It's the whole gig. The whole gig is like lyrically like one-lining, wordsmithing, and
That's
then
what you do.
post you just like, I have no idea what I said for 3.5 hours there.
Yeah. I think one that stuck is like, once you're out of turns, you're out of game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh,
yeah.
that's good. That's good. That's good. I like that one.
You constantly reminded of that one.
That guy microwaves his Pop-Tarts.
That's pretty good.
I like that one.
And also pure evil.
About
you got another one, Paul?
Yeah. Never tell me the odds.
Yeah, that's a good one. Mine is probably it's time to down your unders.
Time to down your unders. Oh.
It's time to down your unders.
I don't think I've ever heard you say that.
No, it's always been the intro to my one of my Ottawa Down Under show.
Really?
Yeah. I wrote that in the thing that I got the initial voiceover guy to do, and I'm just like, down your unders.
Have I never heard the
Ottawa
intro
Down
to your
Under.
thing? Do I just skip past the intro or something? I'd never heard that.
Pathetic.
Yeah. Who has time for intros anymore, man?
Fake friend here does. That's right.
Who has time for that? It's like 3 seconds of my life, man. I don't.
It's fine.
All right. Next up, the opposite. if you were known for a quote, what would it actually be?
Oh, not the face.
Not the face.
What would it actually be? I'm trying to think of one that's PG because I say a lot of not PG stuff.
I'm literally in the same.
Yeah, they've got to filter a little bit here.
I was hanging out with Paul last night, and I think he said IPAs aren't that bad. IPAs are kind of okay. Don't deserve all the hate they get.
I guess if you like the taste of boot.
What would be the Meta Chasers quote? If you guys were to quote anything, like if Meta Chasers was to be known for one line,
I'm curious what the chat thinks of this. What our quotes would be that you guys think.
Honestly, it'd be something about Sanguinius.
For you, for sure.
Obvious, yeah. That's pretty obvious. Man, what's some dumb crap that I say? It's a lot.
I think we say a lot of dumb crap.
I got 55 minutes of it right here. It's like
it's the PG stuff. Like I'm trying to filter the PG stuff. Fuego. That's true. We definitely say Fuego a lot.
We do.
I mean, at least once an episode, if not more than that. Fuego. Who says it best? I think Adam says it best.
Fuego.
Yeah, it's so very sultry. I like hearing it. From
capture
Adam.
that.
Fuego.
We should push the button when it is Fuego. But I say phenomenal.
You do? Yeah. Okay.
A lot.
Phenomenal.
I say phenomenal. That's phenomenal. I should try and expand and say like exceptional and many other things.
If we're talking about like idiosyncrasies, that's easier. Like I think I say absolutely a lot.
Absolutely. You're exactly right.
Yeah, you say that one too, yeah.
Yeah, exactly right.
Exactly right.
Like there's a less kind of right than right.
Exactly.
There's a right and there's
absolutely
exactly
right.
Yeah.
Ish,
absolutely.
Right-ish.
You could be like hanging out in the same
Correct
neighborhood.
Adjacent.
Right. Yeah. Right enough for the purposes of where we can agree. You know?
Of course. And the last one. Describe 40K to someone that doesn't know 40K in a single line quote. Lore or game. It could be about the lore or the game.
For the Emperor!
That
that was something.
No idea what you're talking about.
Is it Marcus Aurelius? The Emperor?
Look,
Constantine?
we've all probably been hooked on this game for less.
That's true.
Be like, yo, chainsaw,
True.
chainsaw sword. Who's with me?
Honestly, one of the things that there was two things that really got me into it. Just hearing it. One of them was Zerg, and I was playing StarCraft at the time, but the other one was ninjas space elf ninjas shooting ninja stars. Like I knew nothing else other than that. That sounds amazing. Eldar. For those of you that didn't get that, it's one of them because they shoot shurikens out of there. Yeah.
No one is good. Everyone is just degrees of bad, and you can choose how bad you want to be. Play 40K.
In the grim darkness of the far future, there's only war.
That's a direct quote. That's actually not a bad one to kind of get people hooked on.
It is.
I always say it. It's G.I. Joes with rules because I played a lot of G.I. Joes when I was young.
Yeah.
Look, you can have an angry washing machine tear the head off a space elf. Any one of these sentences would have hooked it.
I mean,
you know it.
You're if anybody's listening to this just accidentally, you just hooked like 50 people on 40K right there.
If I was going to hook somebody on 40K, I'd be like, do you have disposable income that you don't know what to do with? Do you need a place to just shoot that money? 40K is waiting for you.
You're not wrong. It's like you go to Disneyland, you drop 50 grand like that, man. That's it.
Yeah, wow. Although, Paul, you are off to Disneyland,
That's
aren't
right.
you? Are you going to be here next week?
Disney World.
Disney World, sorry.
We have vacation next week.
Yeah.
Hopefully, y'all will continue on.
Of course. Well, we have to. The big ones. So, it's time for this week's meme theme.
Meme of the week.
It is emotional damage.
Oh, okay.
It is the psychic reverberation that echoes through time and space. Horace, is that you?
All right, emotional damage means 40K. I think is the easiest way to do it, but you have the ones outside of it.
The pain of a 3-inch charge.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you
finding out they killed Yarrick was
Oh.
actually emotional damage for me.
Really?
They killed Yarrick, and then losers like Kato Sicarius still trucking around the 41st millennium. Pathetic.
Going 5-0 and then losing playing the best players of the event and then losing your last game by 1 point and dropping 4 spots.
Oh my God. I was going to say this because this is the tale of my life also. Yeah. 5-0, playing in round 6, get dunked by the guy who ends up winning and then coming 5th or 6th when you were playing for the win.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like somebody should have told me these had hazardous.
That's a good one. That is a good one. When a D6 damage explosion occurs, turn 1 in your own lines.
Ooh.
Yeah. Here we go. Hunter killer missiles.
Oh, that's all. That's it.
So,
period. It's just period.
It depends how new in the game you are, because I am immune to the hunter misser missile, because it no longer harms me because I expect nothing less. But for a time of my life, absolutely emotional damage.
Failing the very first shadow field roll.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. Even failing like one of the first 3.
Yeah, one of the first ones for sure.
I used to love shooting Archons with multi-lasers back in the day.
Yeah,
to pop
absolutely.
But yo, this is string 6. Sorry. Not sorry.
Yeah. They roll the 1, they're doubled out, instant death. Because T3, yeah.
Just
it's
done.
Unfortunate. Realizing you put the chapter symbol on the wrong shoulder pad.
Ooh, that hurts.
Yeah, that does hurt.
That's emotional.
I can tell you one piece of emotional damage right now. I've got a Rogel Dawn here, and if you'll notice, there's a hole in the track.
Oh, that hurts me just looking at it.
Do you know where that track is?
Yeah,
in the carpet.
Inside the tank now.
Well, but you can just get it from the bottom because there's a hole in the bottom.
Not there. No, that's solid. It's inside this piece.
Oh, inside that part.
It's inside the tracks.
Yeah. So I need to get another piece of track and cut it perfectly that it will fit.
Just put a gas can over it. And truth
that's
is
exactly the plan. Exactly the plan.
Most tanks, as they're going through the whatever landscape, they just all kind of junk piled on top of it. Like nobody's carrying their gear. They'll throw it on top of the tank.
Correct. Fuego.
And that is the show.
That's our show this week. It is nice to be back in the saddle. As I mentioned, I will be absent most likely next week, but I know the show will soldier on it. But I will miss everyone in chat. I'll miss all those subscriptions and the likes and the 5 stars. So you have to do them in my honor next week as well. So
you can't disappoint Paul, guys. Gotta do it for him.
Yeah.
But next week, bringing you the biggest and best tournaments coming up over the course of the weekend to see how the meta is shaping up and evolving. It is interesting to see how it has changed in the last 6-8 months.
It's only going to change more because we got a data slate coming as well. So this is going to be next couple weeks. Going to be crazy to see what it shakes out to be, and then what it changes because of it, right? So these big tournaments can actually still change things.
Absolutely, they can, and that's probably another meme that I say. And you guys are not wrong. This is one of the most exciting times of the meta. It's going to be extremely awesome to see what rises here, what falls, and what is in between. I can't wait to see what next week brings. Next week, I believe we have LGT next week, one of the biggest events in the world. So that's going to be a big one to unpack. Don't want to miss it.
People are going to be swinging for the fences trying to get those qualifiers for the World Championships of Warhammer. So not only will we see people bringing what they think is a tried and true list, I'm willing to bet we're going to see a lot of brews and things as people try to crack what's already out there. It's going to be fun to watch over the next or so.
Can't wait. So everybody tune into that one for sure.
That is our show. Thanks a lot for tuning in. We will see y'all soon, everybody. Have a good night.
Night, everybody.
Good night.